real easy. You can cut school and nobody knows. Um, so I spent the majority of the second half of my sophomore semester hanging out in a Dunkin' Donuts, smoking pot and playing spades. Um, it was pretty embarrassing when my parents showed up for a parent-teacher conference and my math teacher didn't even know who I was. So it was difficult. Um, by 17, I had completely dropped out. I was running away regularly. I was taking planes, trains, and automobiles to New York City to try to score different various types of drugs that were a little harder to get where I was, and I was bringing them down and selling them off to my friends for a minor profit, but more for the feeling of like being the man, being the guy who was connected, which, really helped my esteem issues that I talked about before about not feeling wanted, not feeling worthy, stuff like that. But again, as soon as all of the dope was gone, all of the drugs were gone, like all of the friends were gone. My folks saw a lot of what was going on. They were right on the front lines with me. They were not shy souls by any means. So they challenged me. They did everything that they could to kind of push back, and with this addiction thing. I was sent to rehab twice before I was even old enough to drive.
So when was it that you knew you needed help? So if you were going to fill in the blank, hey, I knew I needed help when?
Oh man, I needed help. If I'm going to be honest, I mean, really, like I knew there was something not right about the way that I got high and used compared to my friends from the time I was 16, by the second stint in rehab. So, it was pretty obvious. I just didn't want the help at that point. I thought that there was, I thought it was like, well, I might be an alcoholic or I might be a drug addict, but, I see all these people on television who are alcoholics and drug addicts and they get through it. They go to rehab or they go to, some kind of a psych ward and then they get out and then they're all better again. All of my idols growing up, like people in the metal and music world, it was all over the magazines, Hit Parader and Circus and Kerrang and all this other stuff. So they would go to rehab, they'd get better, they'd be partying again. I never thought there was really anything wrong. I think the first time I really realized, though, that it really sunk in with me that there was a problem was well after high school. I was like 21. No, I think I was 20 years old. I was playing in a band. We were out of town. I'd been using heroin pretty regularly at that point. And when I didn't get any dope that night before the show, like I felt sick. And at that point, I knew that I had a problem, that it was going to take something more than just me showing up at, some detox, 14-day detox or 28-day, dry out place to deal with. I knew it was going to be something that was going to be with me for the rest of my life.
So you go when you get help?
Yeah, I got, I didn't really get help. Help was given to me. I never wanted to get clean. I never wanted to stop. There was always something else that was more of the issue than my problem with substances. It was the girlfriend, it was my parents, it was the legal system, it was whomever. But finally, May 6th of 2003, I got given an option by the state, by the court system, by the New York State court systems. They said you can go to treatment and try to get sober again, or you can go to prison and just do what we think you're going to do anyway. So I went to treatment thinking I was going to bide some time. But I ended up being challenged in treatment, and I was in a place where I was able to listen. I was able to hear something. And my counselor, basically said, why don't you try the one thing that you haven't tried in all of these years of using? I was 29 years old. Everything that I owned fit into a duffel bag and a guitar case. Everything I owned fit in the cab of a pickup truck. And so I was pretty beaten at that point. I had I had an 18-month-old son that I didn't see, and I had another one on the way who I was afraid I was never going to see. And I had a prison term looming over my head. So, getting clean seemed like a decent option at the time. I thought that maybe it was something that I might want to give a good shot to.
So tell me how it's been since you got sober.
Wow.
It's only a half-hour show, but we got some time here, so.
It's been a 180-degree turnaround. Things that I never thought possible before became possible. I don't want to sound cliche, but it's true. I never gave myself enough credit. I never gave myself anything past being like a short order cook in some half-ass restaurant, and that being my lot in life. But I was able to go to school. I got a degree actually in chem-dep counseling. I've worked as a counselor on behalf of chemically addicted people since October of 2005. I've been married. I've been divorced. I'm now engaged.